How to deal with difficult people. Popular topic. This is why it was chosen. And I'm going to approach this theme, this topic, from the angle of self-transformation and not from the angle of trying to transform others. Okay? And that is because trying to transform others is a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of effort, waste full stop. Okay? Because transformation starts at home. I need to transform myself, and that's when my life transforms, and not when I transform others. Others can transform, but not by me. They will transform because they want to transform and because they are working on themselves. So I can help, I can be there when they need it, but they need to wake up and do it for themselves. Today we are talking about how to transform myself. Okay. Still dealing with difficult people, but starting from here. Okay. So hopefully that angle is okay with you. Yeah. Because we don't want to waste time and energy in our life. It's too precious. Very good. Now, there is an approach how to deal with difficult people, and this standard approach is very present everywhere, and I will mention it because it's part of it. It is effective, it is good advice. However, I won't spend much time on the standard advice, how to deal with difficult people, because it's present out there and you can come across it the way I came across it. Okay, but this is a good reminder and it's effective, and I'm going to mention it. For example, one advice is be calm. Whatever happens, however people are behaving, maintain your calm. And that is important. This is a good advice because, if I'm a difficult person, if I want to challenge somebody, am I going to challenge somebody who doesn't care or somebody who is reacting to my challenges? Of course, when there is an effect, I'm going to dig there. So, stay calm. Try to stay calm. Also, another standard advice, which is also good, very good, is listen actively. Listen what people are saying. People need to be heard. And sometimes difficult behavior arises from feeling unheard. Okay, so let's do our bit. Also, it's good to set your boundaries. Show people what behavior is acceptable, what is not. I'm not talking about general behavior, but in terms of my boundaries. That's also okay. Also, choose your battles. Not all battles are worth fighting. And the good old saying says, it is better, peace in the house is much more important than being right. Okay, so choose your battles. You don't need to battle everything, it's good to let go. Also, let us use positive language, see what the problem is. Use positive language, encourage rather than criticize, try to. Or let's focus on the solution and not on the argument. So try to visualize how, the solution, and try to direct the conversation to go towards the solution, but be aware of some solution rather than I'm going to prove my point. I'm going to prove myself. So things like this. So I'm sure that this is not something that you have heard for the first time right now. Huh? I'm just reminding you. It's present out there, and the list can go on forever, and you can find those things easily available. And that's all great. And I did mention these things because they're effective and they work. So do use them. They're great. However, what is the problem with these things? These are, even though they are effective, they are in the category of coping strategies. Okay, something is going on. I've recognized this person as difficult, and I'm trying to cope with it. And the coping strategies work. But the problem is in that I'm seeing them as difficult people, and I'm seeing them I'm seeing myself as a victim in the situation. And that is a big problem. Because if I identify with being a victim, I will be a victim, and I will always be at the receiving end, and I'll never be able to cope with it. I will never be able to solve altogether. So I will cope with it at that given moment, but nothing is going to last long term for myself. And this is why we will need to address the problem from also another angle. Even though the first one is effective, it's fine, and let's use it. When we get into that situation, we can use them. But let's try to have a slightly different approach in addition to, not instead. And for that, I'm going to use Einstein's saying. I'm not going to say it word for word because I don't remember it by heart. But the meaning is, a problem cannot be solved with the same consciousness that created it. Okay, so I need to change my consciousness. In what way? What does that even mean? Okay, I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, there was a couple, and they had children. First a boy and then a girl. And the boy was okay. The first child was a boy. The second child was a girl, and the girl had a very fragile health to start with. And it was fluctuating. There were moments when, were critical, didn't know which way it was going to turn. And, out of fear, out of love, out of whatever it comes in the parents, they really treated her like, little water on the palm of your hand, very carefully, gave her what she wanted, fulfilled all her wishes, always was her way. So, and because they treated her like this whole life, the health recovered. However, she grew up by then. All she knew was that way. So she was expecting everybody to treat her that way because she thought that this is how it is. And she didn't know any different. She thought this is how she should be treated and this is how she deserves. And she was very unhappy if somebody didn't treat her that way. So she became this so-called difficult person. And later on, this boy, her brother, got married to my sister. And my sister is a type of person who is very introverted. And when my mom left her with a neighbor to look after her, my mom would put her, bring her, she would go under the table and she will sit there whole day, and when my mom comes back from work, she will find her under the table. So, and she was horrified when she was sitting outside, never played with children, just watching children. She was horrified when they were arguing. So this is, from one side, that type of person, and from the other side, this other person. So you can imagine. And now, my sister, being the way she is, she didn't learn to express herself very well. And the other one learned to impose and to demand. So neither of them were happy with the combination of each other. Okay. So one perceived the other as difficult and vice versa. But nobody's fault. Okay, they were children, they were brought up in a certain way, in a different way, and nobody's fault, but the combination, terrible. Okay, so this, they perceived each other as difficult, and they distanced each other from the other. But of course that is not a solution, because they both have, each one of them has a significant person in their life connecting them, you know, a brother and a husband. And so obviously that could work up to a point, but another solution had to be found, and that pushed my sister to work on it in a different way. Of course, you know, in consultation we were talking all that. With the other one I talk, but she never asks me for advice, so I'm not going to give her advice. But my sister did, and that's okay. And then really she was pushed, because she hadn't learned in her life to express herself, and she kept quiet all the time, whatever the other one did. She never told her how she felt. She never told her was right and wasn't right. And the other one didn't realize, on top of being a spoiled child, she built on it, and became worse and worse. And this one was suppressing more and more, and repressing. And now, when, you know, you cannot repress and suppress forever, because it's going to blow somewhere, either into anger and, you know, some dramatic behavior, or it might implode into a depression. So neither of those are good. So she had to work on it in a different way. You can guess where I'm going is by changing her consciousness. Okay, she was pushed to start expressing herself. Okay, to learn how to express herself. And we should really be able to express ourselves. It's not normal not to express. Okay, we are social beings, and we are exchanging, sharing. It's supposed to express, and it has been proven that suppression is not good anyway, in any case. So I'm not saying that whatever you are feeling, you are going to express it immediately then without choosing the time and the place. This is not what I mean. But if you are affected on this and that way, go somewhere where you can express it in a physical way to get rid of that negative energy, rather than reacting there and then. Okay, so this was just an example, but we are going to go deeper in changing our consciousness, because it's absolutely necessary. We were debating on whether it was right to call this talk how to deal with difficult people. But you will see why, because difficult is a heavy word, and actually, are these people difficult, or is there something else there? Okay, just like this girl, she was not aware that there was something wrong in her expectations and in her behavior. She was not aware. So what are we talking about? We are not talking about a difficult person. We are talking about a person that's not aware, person that has a low consciousness, right? So something has to change there, but we are not talking about how to transform others, but we need to see what the source is. Because if I grew up in those conditions, and if I was raised in the conditions she was raised in, who knows what I would be like? I might have been even a worse person, right? So we need to empathize, to understand, to put ourselves in their shoes and see what it is. Okay, besides all this, we need to understand also another part of this big whatever is happening here in this physical world and in the spiritual world also. What's happening? Each one of us has a potential. What is that potential? This is my best possible version of self. Okay? So right now, I'm 100% sure that I'm not the best version of self. I'm sure that I can be better. But that cannot go unlimited, way. It will go only to my potential. And this is it, because this is my potential. Can't go any further. So why is it important to understand this? A seed is full of potential. Right now is very small, hard to see, easy to lose, because it's tiny. However, you give it a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of water, with a very little investment, the potential is going to burst into a big tree. Okay, it's going to turn this seed into a big tree. It's no longer easy to lose, it's very significant. And if you bang into it, it hurts. So it makes a lot of difference. Just like that, with little investment, we allow our potential to realize itself. Our potential wants to realize itself and is pulling us towards itself. And that potential is my best me. And now, if my potential is here, my best me, but right now I'm here, and where am I right now? I have been born as this, just like everybody else, like you, as this innocent, wonderful baby. And I've gone through various experiences in life, some challenging, some less challenging, some I managed to deal with, some I didn't know how to deal with. I picked up a lot of things on the way. I have learned from observation, observing other people, and this is probably how we start as babies. We have learned from experiences, but then did I get the best from these experiences or not? I might have perceived it in a traumatic way. We learn through education. Education could be formal in school or informal from everybody around you. So we have picked up all sorts of things on the way, and right now we are a combination of all those things that we have learned, right? And we know they're good, and when we manage, we know that we tap ourselves on the shoulder, and that's great. However, we've picked up many things that are not exactly right, but we may be aware they are not right, and we may be working on them. Okay, like these kind of gatherings are very good for such things. If I have realized that I have a weakness and I'm working on them, and that's great. But there might be some things that we've picked up, in a not the best way. It may not be right, but I'm not even aware that is not right. Just like that girl, she picked up lots of stuff, and all around her, the parents and her brother, they are all doing their best they could. But they didn't know what the consequence might be, and this is it, the result. So it's nobody's fault. Everybody did their best. Nobody to blame. So right now, we are a combination of all those things. Good things we have picked up, not so good, but we are aware, so we are working on them, and some that we yet need to become aware and then start thinking how to transform those. So this is here. I'm here right now, combination of all, but my potential is here. So my potential is everything that I'm able to know, I know. I know who I am, I know why I'm here, I understand all the laws of this big drama on this big stage. I'm using Shakespearean approach, that this world is a stage. The whole world is a stage. So big scene, big stage on this planet Earth, and everything that happens is a big drama consisting of small dramas. Okay? So right now I'm here. I know what I know, but I don't know everything. I'm not aware of everything. And here I know everything that I'm able to know. So what do you think needs to happen between these 2 points? I'm here right now, but I need to be here. And this here is pulling me towards its realization, the potential, wants to realize itself. What needs to happen between these 2 points so that this one goes closer?
You need to have some problems.
I need to have some problems.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, but not necessary, but something must happen between these 2.
To connect.
I need to connect them, definitely, but what is going to decrease this? I'll repeat here again to
Awareness.
I need to increase my awareness, definitely, because here, at this point, I'm much more aware than here. However, how am I going to increase that awareness?
Have to have faith in the top one.
Of faith, I don't know exactly where this is, though. Okay, I just know that it's pulling me towards itself. I'm going towards it, but I don't know where it is right now. Yes.
You must be willing to transform and look at yourself,
Okay.
work on it.
Okay. Yes, and that is true for everybody who is here. This is why we are here, because we are willing to transform. But not everybody is willing to transform, but they are going to reach their potential. And you will see the difference. I mean, I will tell you later, as soon as I put my hands down. So here I know everything I am able to know, and here I only know what I've learned so far. What needs to happen between 2? Now, these 2, I've spelled it now.
Someone needs to tell you what you don't know.
That's one way. Not necessarily, but yes, it is one way. What needs to happen is, if I know everything I need to know here, and here I know only what I've learned so far, what needs to happen here is a learning process. Learning process. We are all going to reach our potential. We are all going to learn what we need to learn. The difference is, if I'm aware, if I'm working on myself, if I want to transform, if I'm keen to reach that potential, I'm going to get there much easier than those who are not working on self-transformation. Because, I can learn from somebody telling me, teaching me, could learn from reading, trying, thinking. But if I don't learn in that way, I'm going to have challenging experiences, okay? Because I'm going to learn one way or another. But let's get there slowly. Now, so learning process needs to happen between these 2 points. If I need to learn something I don't know, I experience it as a challenge. Okay? When I was asked for the first time in my life, what is 2 plus 2? I didn't know. Did you know? Nobody knew. Nobody gets born with this knowledge.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew. I mean, nobody was born with that knowledge. Yeah, nobody was born with that knowledge.
No, that's true.
Unless somebody explains to you, or you learn one way or another, you don't know. So I didn't know, even though I like numbers, I like mathematics. I didn't know. I wasn't born with that knowledge. And when I was asked, of course I experienced it as a challenge. I said, 2 plus 2, what's that? 2 plus 2, what is 2 plus 3? What is this? And then I learned, and you know how I learned? When I was 5, my sister, she gave me a few examples to do, and then she gave me 100 tasks, summing up to 100, addition and subtraction up to 100. And she says that thanks to her, I'm a mathematician now, but then I experienced it as a torture. I remember my mom coming back from work and hearing through the door, "Please don't, I can't do this anymore. Please let me go." And she ran into the house thinking, what is going on? And my sister was reading a book up there, somewhere in the room. She's 10 years older than me. And I was sitting and solving these problems. Anyway, it was a challenge. 2 + 2 was a challenge until I learned what it was. And then I learned what it was. Oh, it wasn't a challenge anymore. How many times a day do we do sums without even noticing? We are not experiencing a challenge. You know, when you go to the shop, when you're doing your bills, when you do count people, how many have come, how many have cancelled, we are summing up all the time, subtracting all the time, not even noticing, not a challenge. And if you are somebody like me who started like numbers, then it's even going to be enjoyment, pleasure. Okay, so do you see the difference between a challenge and a pleasure? Challenge, I don't know. When I know, I just do. And if I enjoy, if I like it, I enjoy. This is the only difference when you say, oh, that's challenging. Whenever you experience something as challenging, that means there is something that you don't know. And it's not coming for nothing. It's coming to give you an opportunity to learn. But we'll talk about it more later. So now, challenge. If I'm experiencing a challenging situation, very often a situation will have a challenging character in the situation in order to make the situation challenging. Okay? That challenging character we call difficult people. Okay? But let's, for now, for the sake of this point that I'm trying to make, let's call them people. Challenging people. People. Okay.
No, you said challenging people.
Yes. So, what am I doing in that situation? Am I saying, oh, these poor people are playing a negative role in order to create a challenge for me, to give me an opportunity to learn something I don't know so that I can come closer to my potential? Or do I get stuck in, why did she say that? Why did he do that? Why? Okay? Shall I repeat the first thing? The second I don't need to repeat. But the first thing is, so am I aware that this poor thing, poor being, has to take the role of playing a challenging character in order to create a challenging situation for me, in order to create an opportunity for me to learn something I don't know, in order to go closer to my potential. Okay. So, when I get stuck with why, I'm stuck. When I see a situation as challenging, it's an opportunity to learn so that I go closer to my potential. And then I'm not stuck, I'm going closer to my potential. So I may not have learned it from a book, I may not have learned it from talking to people, listening to advice, asking for advice. I may have not done it in the easiest possible way. But because it's in my potential, it's going to come for me to experience it and give me the opportunity to learn. And now, if I learn it, great. If I don't learn it, do you know what happens when I don't learn?
It repeats itself.
In the best case, it repeats. But normally, it doesn't just repeat. what happens is, because I didn't take the first opportunity to learn the lesson, that means I'm not completely open for learning. That means next time something a little bit more challenging, is the format of that lesson is going to be a little bit more challenging, so that I open for learning and then learn. And if I don't learn it then, it's going to be even in a more challenging form, so that I open, because obviously I'm not opening that easily. Something has to happen for me to open for learning. And then I turn my life into hell. Do you see the difference? I myself turn my life into hell, not the difficult people. Everybody around us is our teacher. Why? Because they are bringing us a lesson. So every time we do something, whatever it is, whether it's on the level of thoughts, whether it's on the level of words, whether it's on the level of action, whatever we do, we express whether we know or we don't know something. Not to the people. People understand, don't understand, it doesn't matter. I express to this universe, I express in this big drama what I know, what I don't know, and how close I'm to that potential. We can even say, with any expression, on whatever level, I'm really saying, I'm expressing how close I am to my potential, And then my potential, because it's a potential, right, wants to realize itself, is going to invoke a situation in my life to provide an opportunity for me to learn. Because it wants me to get there. Yes.
Maybe you'll say, but just to make sure, so what would you say in order to know what to learn? Because, like, for example, some would have to learn to set boundaries, some would have to be simply more tolerant. So what parameters do you use to assess what is it probably I have to learn here? Especially when you're not being forcefully pushed, but the first time the opportunity comes.
Okay, so it's a very good question. Thank you for asking. There is a lot to learn. There is a lot to learn in each of our lives. What I would advise is, at the moment when the situation comes, I'm not saying bang your head off the wall to realize what is there for you to learn. What I'm saying is, be open for learning, and you're going to learn. Because so many times I have learned things in hindsight, not at the time when it was happening. And the more we are doing courses like this, and we do many more in this place, and I'm sure Dorothy will tell you how to find out what we do. This is the easy way to learn. And however much we exercise and we do courses like this and think about it and talk about things like this and hanging around relevant people who are into self-transformation, the more we practice and thinking in hindsight what was beneficial then, we may not be able to see it at that moment what's going on. However, the more we work on ourselves, the more and more we'll be able to see at that time. But to start with, I will always advise, live your life with open eyes, be honest with yourself, and be open for learning. Because the more closed we are for learning, the harder life becomes. I'll give you an example which is not personal, but I can't think, I have had many personal, but now this one comes to mind. This neural surgeon, big scientist, and science doesn't get much harder than neural surgery. I mean, can you imagine? And He was good scientist, good surgeon, very much into neurology, brain, nerves, all that comes with it. And not very spiritual. However, he had, in his potential was that he is highly spiritual. And because of his occupation, he was very much thinking black and white, and what I see, I believe, what I don't see, I don't believe. But the potential was spiritual. So what had to happen one day, his brain was infected with a bacteria that normally never gets to the brain. It's not a rare bacteria, but never gets into the brain. It was a Escherichia coli. So he got meningitis. And he became a neural patient now. Okay, so he was being looked after by his colleagues. And his situation got so bad that his colleagues were saying, well, he fell into coma, yeah? He fell into coma from the situation. And his colleagues were saying, I mean, it's probably best if he doesn't come out of coma, because if he does, he's going to live his life as a vegetable. So it was really bad. But what happened while he was in coma? He experienced near-death experience. He had a near-death experience. And he experienced himself as a soul. The experience was very vivid, that there was no two ways about it. He absolutely clicked that he was a soul. But do you see what had to happen for him to realize that he was a soul? Because he wouldn't have it otherwise. Okay, so he had to go through meningitis. And not just standard meningitis, it had to be a rare bacteria that, you know, so that the doctors wouldn't know what to do, right? or unusual situations. So, you know, you always have to think what to do. It's not standard. So all that had to happen for him to come to a state of coma in order to have... Yes. However, he came back. Mm-hmm. He came back not as a vegetable, obviously, because I wouldn't know otherwise if he came back as a vegetable. So he came back, he fully recovered, and now he is writing spiritual books. Mm-hmm. He had to go through such a tough experience just because he wasn't open for learning. So this is why I'm saying, be open for learning. The lessons are going to what the lesson is, the lessons are coming anyway, but what the lesson is going to be for you to realize what the lesson was will come later, but as long as you are open for learning. I can give you an example actually, or personal example. When I was, 12 years ago, to cut long story short, for some reason I fainted, and I happened to be on the top of the stairs. And they were concrete stairs, not carpeted. They were actually fire exits. This is why they were concrete. And I fell down the stairs. I fainted and fell down the stairs. So by the time I reached the bottom of the stairs, I was even more unconscious than when I fainted. Broke into pieces. Which was very interesting that from neck down I didn't even have a scratch nor bruise, but the face was in many pieces. Look at you.
No, I'm just like, where was I?
Who knows, where were you 12 years ago?
I didn't know you.
13 years ago in October. In 1 month will be 13 years ago. Huh? Anniversary. Yeah, we can celebrate anniversary. Anyway. The point was that, of course, I ended up going for operations and 6 months of sick leave. I didn't have a clue why I had to experience this and had to go through this. But by the end of it, wow, I learned so much. No theoretical lesson that somebody can tell you or you can read would teach as many things that I've learned from this experience. Of course, for some things I wasn't open, and I'll give you one thing that I wasn't open for. When my dad passed away, my mom and my dad had a very close relationship. They did everything together. You know, they went to friends together. When friends came, they stayed together with them. When they were cooking, my dad would chop, she would cook. You know, always together, 50 years like that. And when my dad passed away, Mom was lost. I didn't understand that. Why was she so lost? Of course, it makes sense, right? What I'm telling you now. But then, when it happened, I didn't. I was giving her all that I knew. I was sharing it with her, my understanding, but I couldn't understand how somebody can be so dependent and so helpless. Being 6 months in bed made me realize that. I depended on other people. I couldn't do anything without. So now she couldn't do easily without him because she got used to him doing some things and she didn't know. Okay, maybe slightly different situation. So I knew how to do things, but I wasn't able to. So I was dependent on other people taking me to the hospital, on other people talking on the phone for me, you know, everything was broken. You know, so it was quite dramatic. However, I understood my mom. Then, that is one thing that I learned. Many other things I learned through that, but I had to go through that harsh experience. But it's very interesting that through all that experience, I never felt pain. Of course, it helps when you're on morphine, but... Of course, I had to deal with addiction also. I got what is it called? I got addicted to morphine. Anyway, I was on pure morphine while in hospital, and when I got out, they gave me derivatives of morphine again, but I was adamant to get rid of it as soon as possible. But while I was getting off it, I got off it within a week after getting out of hospital, and I was going slowly testing where the pain is, where the boundary is with the pain. But within a week I was off it. But while I was experiencing it, I understood drug addicts. It was bad. My body was shaking. You know, each molecule I could feel, each cell, maybe not molecule, but each cell I would feel that it wanted something. It wasn't restful. It was disturbed. So these are two things I understood. You know, and many, many other things I understood from one single event. So you're getting the point? So maybe it wasn't a difficult person, but it was a difficult experience, as long as we are open for learning.
No, I'll question you all sorts of things after.
Okay, that's fine. Now, so we need to be open for learning in order to learn our lessons. And now here's a trick, something to watch for. The harder it is to get away from this challenging character in your life, the more important lesson they're bringing. Why? Because you need to learn this lesson. It's important in order to come closer to your potential. So, for example, if you pass by a person on the street and they hit you or say something, so what? Person on the street, I walk away, who cares, right? It doesn't affect me very much. It's easy to get away, okay? But then it could be a neighbor, a difficult person. And then, okay, it's possible to get away from a neighbor, of course, but I need to sell a house and I have to buy a house, okay? Possible, but not terribly easy, right? Then it could be a colleague, difficult person, could be a boss, difficult person. it's possible to get another job, but again, not easy. Then it could be a friend. Okay, I mean, I can get rid of a friend again, but it's not nice, friend. It could be a partner, so getting more and more difficult to get away. A partner, yes, I mean, I can divorce, right? Can get away, but what a trauma. It's not straightforward. But it could be parents, could be sister, brother, it could be sister-in-law, like the example we gave. You can't get away from this person. You cannot divorce because of her, right? So, could be children. Where do you run away from children? So, the harder it is to get away from your challenging person in life, difficult person in life, the more important lesson they are bringing. So this is changing some awareness. This is changing consciousness. Okay, do you see? We are seeing the problem from a different angle now. Completely. I hope. What we need to bear in mind when we are talking about lessons. There are things that are happening to us, and they are very useful, but they may not necessarily be lessons. They could be signposts.
What?
They could be signposts. Signposts? You know what it is, right? A signpost? Okay. So everything that happens in life is a test. It's always a test. And why a test? Because it will indicate whether I'm passing or failing. It will indicate where I'm at. It will tell me what I need to work on. If I've passed, great, I've done it, I know, I'm aware, I worked on it, but now I've done it well, it's great. If I fail the test, this is not a moment we should be disappointed with ourselves, because tests are indicators where we are at, and that's fine. It's important to know where we are at, because that way we can work out our way to the destination. If I don't know where I'm at, I'm not going to get it right. So it's good to, even if you fail a test, it's beneficial, because it's showing you where you are, what your weaknesses are, what you need to work on. So this is an indication of what we need to work on when we fail a test. So everything that happens is a test.
But how do you know if you fail? I mean, there must be some...
Yeah, I mean...
You have some principles, what is passing and what
yes,
is...
okay, so if I'm working on getting rid of anger, somebody does something, I get angry.
Okay, so
I failed.
So
yeah. Because, it's easy to be calm and relaxed in heaven. Okay, so if nobody does anything, I believe, I haven't got angry for 3 years. Great, but maybe it was smooth. Unless I get a test that I fail, I will not work on anger anymore. So I failed the test. I wasn't that good at not getting angry as I thought. So let me work on it. It's an indication. Yeah, I failed the test. So don't be disappointed and angry with yourself when you fail a test. It's an indication so that you don't fool yourself. And that's fine. So everything is a test. In same time with being a test, it's either a lesson or a signpost. A lesson and a signpost are mutually exclusive. It cannot be one and the other. It's either one or the other. Why? Because lesson is something that we need to stick, persevere, learn. Okay, stay there. Stay there and learn what is there to learn. Signpost is get out of here. Don't go straight, go right. We need to know this too, because difficult people can be a signpost also. Okay. And I can give you an example. We are okay with time. Yeah? In my 2 jobs ago, I was head of a computer science department in a university. And so in that setting, I would be the most qualified person in that university in that field, computer science. Now, the person, my superior, could be in computer science, but in this particular setting, there wasn't. It was a civil engineer. And it's not a big deal. It could be anybody. You know, how far can you go in computer science? It doesn't matter that he wasn't a computer scientist. The problem was that he didn't know anything about computers. He didn't even use a mobile phone. And he literally didn't know how to use it. And he didn't even know how to top up a card for public transport. He wasn't interested in this. So this is a person I needed to convince that we needed to provide to our students the latest hardware and latest software for them to study computer science, right? Why? Because by the time they graduate, it's not going to be the latest anymore. Never mind, you know, if we don't do the latest. It will be irrelevant if we don't provide the latest. So this is somebody I had to convince all the time. Each year we needed the latest, because, you know, I have to justify the money I'm spending. So it was a torture. And I'm thinking, oh, what is this? What do I need to learn here? Is this a signpost? And also, somehow he learned in his life that to achieve things through manipulation. So manipulating people to get what he wants. And because I was already working, you know, on my spirituality, and I was working on my ability to discern, which means I could see the manipulation from far away, and it wasn't working on me, he genuinely didn't know what to do with me. And then I realized in his, I cannot say innocence, could I say innocence? There was some type of innocence in there, that he genuinely didn't know how to get things out of me because I wouldn't work on, you know, I wouldn't it's not so much comply. His manipulation didn't work on me. With me, you tell me, please do this, and I will do, but not through manipulation to make me do it.
You could see through it.
I could see through it, absolutely. So he didn't know really what to do with me. And then I realized this person probably grew up in conditions where it might have been hard, whether he could not achieve things with, you know, doing it straightforward, as it normally people do, but he was achieving things through manipulation. And do you see? I mean, we see so much manipulation, and lots of difficult people around us, we are perceiving them as difficult because they are manipulative. It's very present, the manipulation, which turns into bullying and all that we spoke about yesterday. And I was wondering then what this is, a lesson or a signpost. And I said, okay, let me treat it as a lesson and see whether there is anything that I can learn from this person. And that changed my mindset. Now I wasn't looking at what he was doing wrong. I was now trying to see if there is anything to learn from him. Okay. And in that changed vision, I realized that he was very good at up management, managing up, not managing down. Managing down is his job. He wasn't doing it well, but it doesn't matter. He was very good at managing up. And I said, oh, let me learn something here. So I learned something up to a point. And that was very good, actually, because it took me ages to convince him into something. But if I convinced him into something, I could consider it done because I knew he would know how to manage up and get it done. And this is how I realized what his virtue is. So when I learned there what I was able to learn, at that moment I saw there is nothing more to learn here, but especially what really convinced me it was a signpost, it was because I spent lots of time with him in various meetings, in various making decisions, in all those things. I ended up spending 5-6 hours a day with him in various events. So I started picking up things I didn't want. And I said, this is not the way I want to go. The moment I interpreted that as a signpost, in translation means look for another job, okay? The doors opened like that, immediately. By the time I came back to my desk, I had a job offer in my inbox. I wasn't looking for a job. I wasn't even thinking about it. The moment I thought of it, I was headhunted. I wasn't looking for a job and the job was offered. I was headhunted by an agency. It's crazy how it works. So we need to feel the pulse of this big drama, the way I described what drama is, to feel the pulse and see what is closing and what is opening. So a difficult person could bring a lesson, a difficult person could be a signpost. There is a trick there, though. We must not misinterpret one for the other. If I interpret a lesson as a signpost, I will run away from the lesson. Okay? If I interpret a signpost as a lesson, I'll keep banging. A signpost as a lesson, yeah. I'll be banging my head off the wall trying to learn the lesson, find the lesson where there isn't a lesson, is a signpost. How do we achieve this? Working on our ability to discern, but in general is heuristic learning. There is no algorithm I can give you, do this, do this, do this, do that. Do you know what heuristic learning means? Trial and error. Okay, it's not a recipe. You need to try, you feel. Like, for example, if I talk to you about how to ride a bicycle for half an hour now, for an hour, as much as I want to teach you how to ride the bike, unless you sit down and fall a few times, you're not going to learn, right? So trial and error, this is heuristic learning. But the good things about this case, particular case, is even in small cases, if you just start feeling the difference, what it feels like a lesson and what it feels like to be a signpost, you are quickly going to learn. So it's a quick learning, faster than riding a bike. It's quick learning, trial and error, but very fast. So I did it a few times like this in big things in life, and on the basis of this I made the most important decision in my life, which was to step down from a high position and free up more time in my life for events like this, and to spend time with wonderful people like you, and not those who don't understand computers and they have to prove. So this is how it is. So it's beneficial to have these difficult people in our lives because they are our lessons and signposts. So this is what I need to do. And here, this wisdom that I'm sharing with you is part of a study that we study on a daily basis. And yesterday, the lesson that we had said something that I would like to read to you so that I don't spoil it. It says, no matter what others give you, even if they give you bad wishes, with the power of your good wishes, transform those bad wishes into good wishes. I'll read it again, shall I? Yeah? No matter what others give you, those difficult people, even if they give you bad wishes, with the power of your good wishes, transform those bad wishes into good wishes. Okay? So, if somebody is behaving in a difficult way, that doesn't make them difficult people. They are people that are less conscious, less aware of what's going on, who they are, and all that. So us, by criticizing them or having negative feelings towards them, we are not supporting them, we are not helping them. We are actually helping them stagnate in the situation. They are not going to get better with bad wishes. I'm not saying that we are going to actively wish something bad to them to happen, but it's enough to be angry, upset. This is all negative and frequency. This is negative vibrations. So we are not helping with this. But if we send them good wishes, in the worst case, nothing will happen. Nothing will change. But in the best case, we are going to influence and transform their low frequency into higher frequency, the negativity into positivity. So let's unconditionally send good wishes to everyone, really. Yes.
Maybe others also have a question. Maybe this is a question others might also have. For some people that's quite easy, but as you mentioned, some people can be closer to you. It could be, for example, family or parents, children for the matter. And I guess what can sometimes get in the way of this is that it's very, very hard to kill your expectation of, a parent should be like this and not like this. I think that's a good example. Or could be generally that our ego or something else inside prevents us from being able to let go. So what would you and accept and stop those expectations? So what would you recommend how to kind of overcome that expectation that this relationship to me should behave differently?
Okay. So first of all, expectation means I'm expecting a transformation in others.
Expecting them to be in a certain way.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm expecting transformation on the other side.
Yeah.
But I said my approach will be, the most sensible approach is the transformation to start with me. So really expectation is by default, sooner or later, will be disappointment. So why should I go that way at all? I don't want to be disappointed. So expectation is not the way to go in any case.
It's a principle you apply and then your feelings eventually follow.
Yes. But my ego, the ego is the one that expects. If I don't have ego, won't expect. Ego, what does ego mean? The way I understand it, ego is created when we identify with something we are not. We didn't go deep enough into this. Of course, you have come to an event of a spiritual organization, so you won't be surprised if I say, I am a soul. I'm not my profession, I'm not my age, I'm not everything that superficially describes something. So if I connect to those labels, I remember, again, I'm going to give you an example. when I stepped down from that position, I decided to spend a fair amount of time helping my mom with her health. And we achieved miracles. Within 6 months, she was cured of diabetes. She was on 34 units of insulin per day. Within 6 months, she was off insulin. And it was quite an achievement because normally endocrinologists' traditional approach is once on insulin, always on insulin. However, I was dedicated and we achieved it. And many other things. She lost 30 kilograms of weight, the blood pressure normalized, the health completely transformed. And I was happy with the results. And when I went away, she would obviously do something that she wasn't supposed to. And, like getting, sugar and all that she's not supposed to have, because diabetes too, it influences type 2, which is influenced by the food you take. And, or put on weight, or whatever it was. And I wasn't disappointed by her not following what I said. What I realized then was that I was attached to my label and all those things, my age, nationality, all those things that are describing our superficial self, are labels. I was attached to a label of responsible daughter. It took me some time to realize what was the real problem, because I would really get upset. I invested so much energy, so much effort, we achieved very good results, and now she's playing with it. But it wasn't so much that she wasn't following all this. For me, it was, I'm a responsible daughter. And if her health is not good, if she puts on weight again, and if she has to return back to insulin, the others will think that I'm an irresponsible daughter.
You failed.
And I failed. I'm not keeping up the label. Do you see? But this is some refined tuning into self. Some refined introspection to see exactly what the bother is. I got attached to a label responsible daughter, and this is why her behavior affected me so much. So, of course, I will always recommend deep introspection on a regular basis, and that would be one type of meditation we do here. And I'm sure they run meditation courses here if you're interested. And I'm sure that Dato will tell us where to find more information. So, on a regular basis, it needs to be really part of our lifestyle. It needs to be regular. It has to be lifestyle. Just like in the morning when we get up, we go to the bathroom, we splash our face. This is how automatic it needs to be, how necessary it needs to be to meditate, because it's preparation for life, for the day. Each day for the day, but in general, meditation is preparation for life.
I think we should open up to
Yes.
see if anyone has questions.
Yes? Anyone? Questions? Have I up to point answered your question?
You answered my question.
Have I answered your
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Up to point, yeah?
I have more.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
About midnight snack.
You are laughing, but it happens. Okay. Any questions? Is this helpful? Yes? No?
It's a big topic.
Yes, it's a big
And
topic.
it's over time, so I don't know but it's like a balance. Even though, for instance, you understand your friend through life and you understand how she grew up and you have empathy and so on. Sometimes you have to confront and say, this is not okay, you're hurting me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to step back and say, I need not to see you for half a year.
all that stands.
All these different tools in the toolbox.
Yes.
You have to try and see how to.
You are
to
absolutely
find a
right.
balance. Maybe you have to quit the relationship.
Yes, because it might be a
it goes
signpost.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are right completely. So this is why when I gave you the standard approach in the beginning, I didn't say whatever we are going to talk about is instead of. It's not instead of. Let's do both. So let's try to do the standard things while I'm working on my consciousness, while I'm raising my consciousness and awareness. Who has grown up how? What role they are playing in my life? Why is this difficult character in my life? But they both need to happen. And believe me, when I master this second part that I talked about, not the standard one, when I master this, the other one, I won't need to cope anymore. There will be nothing to cope with anymore. Because what I've done is I've transformed myself, I've changed my perception. And what is the key there? When I change my perception, I'm coming closer to my potential. The closer that I am to the potential, the easier life gets. Why? Because fewer lessons remaining, fewer challenges remaining. This is why life will be easier. And this is why I may not need the coping strategies anymore, because I don't get derailed anymore. I don't get affected that much anymore.
Because you have a higher perspective.
Yes, but this is why we need to learn from a philosophy how to live life. Coping strategies are helpful while I'm learning. But once I learn, I don't need them. But coping strategies are not sufficient. They'll help me at the moment when I'm affected. They'll bring me back to the center. But it's going to happen again unless I do something bigger, change of lifestyle, change of consciousness.
So these different situations we talk about with difficult people, now we call them so.
Okay.
If you can feel this is hard, sometimes you go the other way, sometimes you have to be in it. If you say thank you every day when this person pops into you, irritation or just the situation or something, sometimes it helps, because thank you, there is more to learn here, because it's affecting me. So
that's right. But I'll give you something even more than that, which is more transformative than just thank you. Thank you is a very good word. Being grateful and appreciative is very important. But even more than that, do you know what it is?
I think I forgive you. Or
forgive you is also very good, but even more than that, I love you. Every time you say I love you to that difficult person, it doesn't have to be in words though, because it may not be appropriate. But when they come to your mind, send them lots of love. Even if it happens during meditation, if because normally the difficult characters are the ones who impose themselves in your head, into your mind. Whoever comes to your mind, during meditation or not in meditation, so send them abundance of love. And what's going to happen? In the best case, they will receive that love. But what is definitely going to happen is your heart will melt. Your attitude towards them is going to change.
If I can say it truly.
Truly, truly. No,
this
nothing
Honolulu,
superficial. No.
This Honolulu saying, what is it? I forgive you, I love you.
Yeah, okay, so...
But you cannot say I love you also as a recipe if the person has hurt you and so on. But of course you poison yourself by being angry even though you're not in the same room. Of course you do. It just grows inside you. But also it has to be true.
Yes, of course,
I can say I love you. Because
absolutely.
You just...
Yes, I mean, when I tried to do it for the first time, to the person that hurt me over a longer period of time, I wasn't able to, but I worked on it. And now I can say I love you. They haven't become less of a challenge, For me, I mean, we are not so much in each other's faces anymore. Like this big drama has slightly eased off in our togetherness, but they're still present in my life. I don't know how they feel, I don't know, but I feel much better. My heart has melted, and I discovered it was frozen exactly from that example. I wasn't able to say to that person, to send them love. I wasn't able to. This is how I discovered that part of my heart is frozen. But then I worked on it, I melted, and I do not perceive that person as a difficult person in my life anymore. And this is it. It's our perception. Okay, yes?
What do you think about the saying that everything in your outer world is your inner world pushed out?
I mean, this is the way I understand what you just said is really what we have been talking about. So I express something from inside, and I'm getting back from outside in order to change my inside.
Yeah, but that would also mean that all difficult persons we meet in our life is something that we need to work within because they are all an expression of something that is a flaw within our own
That's right.
mentality.
Yes, so I'll just repeat so that we do the close mapping between what I said and what you are just saying, is every time I do something, I express what I know, what I don't know. If I express something I don't know, the potential is invoking a situation in my life to give me an opportunity to learn what I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? It's exactly the same what you are saying, just different words.
The way you explained with your boss, the one who didn't kind of know much about computers, the way I would see that situation, if it was me, it would perhaps be that I would try to see whether my perception of that person is bringing that person to life within that.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a karma situation where if I change my perception of that person, maybe he would not be a lesson anymore.
But what would it be?
It would be the way that I would perceive him. He would act according to the way that I see the person.
No, if I have a problem, a real problem with perceiving, then I would be learning. So there is always learning, either learning or a signpost. It can't be neither.
Yeah, well, sometimes I have in my own life experienced that people, they can have different kind of roles depending on the way that I see them.
Yeah.
They are part of my life, and if I perceive them as very difficult and that I have a mental argument with inside my head with them, and I know that they will react in this way, they will definitely give me the kind of problems that I'm anticipating. And if I have the mentality of the strength to kind of change my perception of the whole situation.
That's right. I mean, I did work on that perception, so I didn't see them as difficult person. I saw them as an opportunity to learn. So I was trying to learn until I saw there's nothing to learn anymore. I started even picking up things that I didn't want, and then I interpreted it as a signpost. So I changed my perception. That was my lesson. I also learned a lot there. Changing the perception, however difficult they are, I was trying to see a lesson in it.
Yeah, just have a kind of hard time.
But I think you mean they were perhaps reactive to the way I perceived them, and that's why they were.
I would rather say there's some kind of a karma between people that thoughts are kind of moving around and people are only kind of, you mentioned Shakespeare as well, which is kind of very interesting as well, since we're all playing a role.
That's right.
Which has been kind of
that's right.
Rehearsed while we upon slumber or something, and we do not always know why we do the things that we do.
Yes, but knowing or not knowing, it's our responsibility. And you have mentioned the key word there, which is karma. And karma will have a lot to do with everything we said today. It actually was a karma lesson. Okay, we just didn't use the word. it will definitely have something to do with karma. However, my karma is my responsibility. It's not just happening to me. I'm not a victim. It's here for me to become a master of self. And this is exactly what the potential is. When I reach my potential, I'm going to be a master of self. But until that point, I need to learn lots of things. And that person in my life was, up to a point, was a lesson. After that particular point, became a signpost. Yeah, so it was karma, but he didn't just happen to me there because of my karma. Karma this life, karma previous life, it depends on what you believe in, it doesn't matter. Karma is not just, has not happened to me. I've created the karma. I create negative karma when I do something negative. Okay. That means I've done something, I expressed I don't know something, because out of not knowing, we do mistakes. So I have done something wrong, and now the potential is jumping at me, sending me lessons to come closer to him, to itself.
Maybe we should let that be the last word for tonight.
Yes.
It's late.
Okay.
Yeah. About our courses, because all
Do
these
you want
things
this?
actually, sorry?
Do you want this?
No. But maybe you turn it off actually.